like that was the one thing that Vlad and I were like, yeah, it's weird. It's really
Nick
weird.
Fury.
Nick Fury
doing a plot needs to happen moment.
I mean, like that's what he is in other people's book, where it's just like, I'm government man. We need your help. Right? That's what he does. Right? But in this case, it just was like, Nick, you should be calling the Avengers.
Yeah, but guys, the plot needs to happen.
You should be calling the Fantastic Four. Why are you calling the X-Men? Why? Because it's mutant related? In which case, Nick, we have a new problem. That sounds kind of racist, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, just want to say this. Maybe Nick thought, Magneto is on the loose. These guys fought Magneto a couple of times. Let's use them. You know what?
Yeah, no, but in the Marvel universe, like everybody, like even the Fantastic Four, have had run-ins with Magneto.
That's just Magneto is fucking based. It's like Doctor Doom. He fought everyone.
With the Avengers are more noticeably annoyed with Magneto whenever they deal with them. They're like really weird.
Yeah, because like imagine MCU man. Imagine your father-in-law is also a supervillain, and you're an Avenger. What do you do?
Well, first I tell my father-in-law we're the motherfucking Avengers. 1. 2. We all take turns drop kicking him.
Our fucking father-in-law, we just go up to him and just start jumping his ass.
We all take turns drop kicking him. And then 3, right? We're like, yeah, no, don't come here again. We warn him, right? Not my father-in-law, because my father-in-law is cool. My father-in-law is pretty dope. But, right?
I get it.
Oh my god.
I don't know. If it was Vision's father-in-law, it's just like, yeah, you guys may have to beat his ass. Yeah. Sorry. Because Vision's father-in-law is like humans. Look at their human food. They got broccoli. Look, look, there's a hungry human. Oh, look, they can't even afford to feed themselves. Cute. That's so cute.
That's hilarious. Oh god.
Just want to say, Magneto is actually a very interesting character. Forget the time where he's been like a fucking psychopath. Just saying.
Magneto's the type of guy to comment on social issues, but then contribute nothing.
Yeah.
Hey! That's really offensive. You know who's that guy? Beast.
Beast is that guy. Beast is
that guy. Oh my god, he's the guy with the liberal arts degree that talks about all this shit and does nothing to contribute. He's just like, yes, there's all these problems with society. Are you gonna do something? What?
Well, no, it's just like, hey, what's your solution?
I don't have one.
I didn't think of that. Yeah, I didn't think of that one.
Solutions? We don't need solutions.
There was in the Scott Lobdell X-Men book, there was this really funny scene. I don't know if you know who this is, Rocket or Vlad. I'm pretty sure Xavier knows who it is. Do you know who Graydon Creed is?
No.
Graydon Creed. Victor Creed's son?
That's Sabretooth and Mystique's son. That doesn't that is not
whoa, Mystique! Just want to say something. Like Mystique, don't you have a relationship? Like, seriously.
Destiny was dead during this time, and it was Scott Lobdell.
Okay.
So,
I thought it was Scott Lobdell doesn't change. The fact that Destiny
I think Lobdell didn't have anything to do with Creed. I may be correct. I may be incorrect, but I don't think he had anything to do with Creed. I will say this. Graydon Creed is like the new, like, he is like the clan dragon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He is like, but he doesn't appear to be like that from the outside perspective. Right? From the outside looking in, it looks like, no, these mutants are the aggressors and Mr. Creed is just doing his best. Even though he starts like a whole group called like the Friends of Humanity. Anyway, they get on the talk
I
show.
remember that from the 90s X-Men cartoon.
Yeah, they get on TV, right? And what does Beast do? Beast just yells racist at him like 100 times. It's just like,
well, it's pretty based, but
he goes fucking racist, and then he sticks his tongue out at him.
That's pretty based. Just call a bigot racist, refusing to elaborate in any way, leaving.
And then the whole world is laughing at Creed. But Professor Xavier is just like, we should at least be able to like have conversations with these people. So you just embarrassed us. Thanks, Beast. Thank you.
Yeah, it's like as sad, as gratifying as it is to call out a racist. It's like you need to have some respect, even though they're a bigot.
I mean, you're on another person's show, and you just made us look bad. Thanks,
exactly.
Bro. Thank you,
but
Beast.
like, yeah.
You fucked it up for the rest of us. Way to go, Henry.
Yeah, returning to our original point of Magneto being the guy who is Magneto being social shit and does nothing. Magneto is the mutant equivalent of those feminists who say kill all men.
Well, I mean, like he has a solution. It's just that he didn't try anything else, right?
Yeah.
His solution is kill him. That's it. Well, that's 70s Magneto. 70s Magneto is just like, look, we don't need to really deal with them. They're kind of like outdated, little, like we gotta like,
we will outfuck them. We will fuck more than they will fuck. We'll have more babies than they.
Yeah, and then there was, this reminds me of Planet X Magneto, and like Planet X Magneto is really bad, but like it's like his solution is just. Guys, you know what we should do, guys?
What?
Let's kill the humans. Let's kill all of them. I should have stayed dead because I'm a martyr, and that's the whole point of my storyline. I killed Jean Grey.
Yeah, the last time Magneto was a bad guy, I think it was like 2006. And then they never did it again.
Because I really love this decision of making Magneto fully a good guy, because the 80s, the 90s, he was like the X-Men bad guy, right? Which in a way just fucked him over.
Yeah.
because now people are saying like, well, the Avengers don't have villains a la the way the X-Men have like Magneto, and it's just like, well, he's not even a villain anymore, so.
Yeah, it's like the fact that he was pushed to that point of being known as just the X-Men villain and the thing everyone talks about just to shit on the Avengers is beyond me.
Yeah, I feel like the big problem with Magneto being a bad guy is that movie writers just think that just default Magneto in every single film. That's kind of the problem.
It's because they fall prey to that idea of Magneto is the Malcolm X analogy that we're making. They fall victim to it, and then it just like spirals out of control there, and then everybody is annoyed.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was Mutant Genesis 2.0. What did you think, Vlad?
So far from what we read, was that last week or the week before? It was interesting.
It was interesting. It had some really good scenes in it.
It had a lot of good scenes in it. I do like the scene where Magneto falls into the submarine and then he's like, oh, fuck, I killed these people. This is what my actions has led to? Oh, fuck. I just love that. It's just like, oh.
And the X-Men are like, you're gross. And like even Magneto's like, you're out of character.
To be honest, I feel like Magneto's turn to villainy in this story, I feel like it's handled surprisingly well if you know the behind the scenes stuff. Yeah. If you know just Bob Harris just going to Chris Claremont and say, hey Chris. Oh, sorry for the. Hey Chris, you need to have Magneto being a bad guy again.
Yeah.
Not again, you Bob. Yeah, write that. I'm gonna have Jim Lee draw that. Jim Lee, give us the plot. Why don't you shut up, Claremont?
Yeah. The writing though
Yeah.
is so good.
The writing was
Yes.
really good. Like even when Wolverine was like, "Oh, do you think your actions could maybe, lead these guys to getting a proper burial?" No. Well, yeah, it was an idea, Magneto. It's just an idea. Logan, are you
Yeah.
throwing shade? Logan, are you throwing shade? Yes.
Oh my god.
I feel like the writing in Claremont's X-Men is very novel-like. Like, it feels very much like Claremont wrote a novel, wrote novels 20 pages at a time, and then like someone else just illustrated the stuff
Yeah.
to cut a bit of keyword a bit of the exposition, because literally half of Claremont is just characters talking, and when they're not talking, they're thinking
I
about what
know.
happened.
Okay, that's my problem with Claremont. I don't like when they do that. I don't like when Claremont does that. That makes me angry because it's just like, I get it. You're doing the whole soap opera thing where it's just like Rogue being like, I shouldn't, even though I really want to play with his pecker.
Rogue and Magneto is one of the weirdest comic book ships ever, and I love it. I love it so much.
I want to hang out with him. I'm sorry. That's Rogue, right? Versus like that happens throughout the rest of the book where it's just like Magneto's playing with fucking nukes, and it's just like, all right, all hands on fucking deck. Come on, guys, really?
Yeah.
Magneto again. Christ Almighty! Everybody, get the fuck together.
Magneto's got nukes. Just
Cyclops was heavily out of character. He's like, I wasn't there when he was. Yes, you were.
yeah. I'm
Also,
not too familiar with the X-Men, so I'm not too sure who's out of character because I don't know them that well.
Oh, all of them are in that story. A lot of them in that story are out of character because all of them unanimously accepted, hey, Magneto's a good guy now.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know what
all
happened
of them
to
are out
them.
of character except for Moira being completely unethical. You know,
Moira, yeah, Moira was back then. It was like, Moira, can we really trust you? Your intentions tend to fuck us over, right?
This has aged like fine wine. You know,
leave it to the goddamn Irish to be the fucking unpredictable ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you gonna like pull an Irish terrorist thing, or are you just going to, not do that?
No, she was just like, I de-aged Magneto.
Shit. Oh god, so she wants that Magneto dick? Is that what you're saying?
No, she wants the Banshee cock, but she was huge. She was a...
You know what? To be fair, I wouldn't want the old man's dick either.
Banshee's just as old.
Oh god, I didn't know. Oh god.
I think he's a little younger because like the way that they always make it seem like with Banshee is that he's like Xavier's age. Or it's just like, how are you an X-Man then?
the more I think about Banshee, the more I think about, this guy exists.
I know a lot of X-Men fans. This is my biggest problem with X-Men fans. They only talk about A-list mutants. They never talk about like the C or D list. They never say shit like Maggot or Globberman. They don't bring those guys up, right? They just only talk about
I bring weird C-list characters all the time. That's why Beak is one of my favorite mutants. Stan Beak, justice for Beak.
They're always on some like, Scott Summers is really cool. Those X-Men movies really did him dirty, and it's just like, oh yeah, Rogue got done dirty, and it's just like, who cares? Who cares?
Yeah.
I thought you liked X-Men. Oh yeah, the one story that they keep bringing up, I hate this story. I'm convinced I hate this story now. Fatal Attractions.
Oh god.
Haven't read it. Why you have a problem with it?
because they're like, oh yeah, well, Magneto removes the bones out of the adamantium from Wolverine's bones, and I'm like, fuck you, Scott Lobdell.
Oh,
That's
God.
pretty metal.
Everybody wants that, and it's just like, no. That's like their X-Men. That's like the seminal moment in X-Men history. Like, Magneto just did this. Oh my god, he went too far. He attacked our cash cow.
Yeah. Oh,
To
God,
be
that
honest,
sounds...
I saw more. To be honest, I saw more times like just the Claremont run as a collective referenced as like the X-Men story than Fatal Attractions. Like I saw people praising Dark Phoenix Saga, Days of Future Past, God Loves Man Kills, the Outback Era, Mutant Massacre. You know those runs more than I've seen praise for Fatal Attractions.
Well, like praise for Fatal Attractions is pretty much the thing that you the way that I see it with Fatal Attractions is that it is, what's the word I'm looking for? It is uncommonly, and it is not uncommonly annoying. It is annoying to the point that you would never assume that conversation would get old until it does.
Yeah.
Right. But this was Claremont's last X-Men book because I think Lobdell takes over. No, he does take over after this, and he has a Weapon X story where he introduces Omega Red.
Oh, cool.
So after you get done with the Magneto story, because I remember I had Mutant Genesis 2.0, which again the coloring is just fantastic. It looks more cinematic. It looks like what they were going for with this book when it came out.
I feel like both colorings are really cinematic for their time. And I really love both colorings.
Yeah.
No, I get exactly what you mean by that too, by the way.
Yeah. I like the coloring. It's to me, it's very 90s, kind of how I stereotype the 90s era of like Marvel art, but which is not a bad thing. It just feels very fitting to the time period that it's from, and I like how it looks. But it feels as alive as it should be, and the action and stuff, the way it's drawn, is really well done. There's no complaints to it. It's kind of interesting to see how much the art has changed over the years. Like you go from what looks like pencil drawn art to what we have now, and it's kind of interesting just to see how it changed. But it still holds up.
How it morphed essentially.
Yeah,
how it changed. Like these things did evolve, and it's as a comic book fan, you never would have like thought that at like a first glance sort of thing.
Yeah, it's like if you look at the first issue of Avengers and then you compare that art style to Jed McKay's run, it's like you can go, wow, a lot has changed. A lot has fucking changed with art. And it's really cool, but the core of it still is the same, the action, everything is still the same.
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for like the 90s. Like, by the way, that was like the first. That was like the X-Men book that was like selling like gangbusters. And then everybody read the rest of the run and they were like, yeah, no.
To be honest, I feel like the X-Men, the 90s are remembered as a great time for the X-Men in terms, mostly for their financial,
success.
Yeah. Like, when I feel like the 80s and 2000s are way more artistically interesting.
I think what I'm saying? I agree with you. I just think that in the 90s, Marvel really they cashed in their chips for the X-Men. They cashed in everything, like where toys, animation, comics, get it done. You know what I mean? That's how they treated the X-Men.
Yeah. And it's understandable. Like, it's their most lucrative franchise. The one that gave them like multiple spin-off that managed to run for more than 50 issues each. Like,
I know, even after Jim Shooter sabotaged a lot of Marvel shit.
Yeah, because but remember, Jim Shooter sabotages Marvel shit is just an average Sunday, you know?
I think
It's
that
like
was in his
the
contract. I think when he signed on.
Wait, what'd you say? Vladonomics?
Oh, sorry. I was just saying that was in his contract when he signed on. Yeah, Jim Shooter signed
sabotage
on to
everything.
Marvel, and that was in his contract. They said, "Look, Shooter, we need you to fuck shit up, okay? We're doing
Break
too good.
everything.
Yeah, just ruin it all. Just ruin everything, Shooter." And he's like, "Okay, I'm glad to do that. Let me start with your fucking female characters and work my way down."
Yeah, it was like it started with his Avengers run, and then it got into the X-Men a little bit because not a lot of people know this, but Claremont was gonna like let Jean live at the end of Dark Phoenix.
Yeah, I think it was her being lobotomized.
No, the only thing that would have happened was that she lost her powers. That's like her not being a threat, and she wasn't a mutant anymore.
No. Yeah, I get it. I've heard like that the original ending was Jean getting like lobotomized and being like a 5-year-old girl, which it would have been a dark ending for a superhero comic book, you know.
I remember the way that other channels and shit have described it. It was Shooter's idea. Apparently, Claremont's idea was to like let her live, and what she was going to do was that she was going to befriend the X-Men. She was going to be like kind of part of the staff of the Xavier Institute, right?
Which is pretty interesting. Having human allies to the X-Men is pretty interesting as an idea.
But then she was going to get her powers back at some point, where Jim Shooter was just like, "Wait a minute, this woman just destroyed a galaxy." Yes, and they're going to let her walk free. Well, she's not a threat anymore. She still did it.
Yeah, it's like we can like blame Shooter for a lot of stuff. I think like beating Shooter over the head is like a thing with people with Marvel Comics. I think that's just a hobby people have now. And we need to have
everybody is just like Jim Shooter's the fucking worst. Yeah,
instead of having like Comic-Con or whatever, we need to have like conventions just to make fun of Jim Shooter. That'd be fun. I would go to that.
Can I go?
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's invited. It's fucking free.
If you want to go, Xavier, you can. I'm sorry, bro. You probably have something to do.
No. Go to the the making fun of Jim Shooter convention.
Absolutely. Yeah, we got it. We definitely got to fucking.
We got to do that.
But like the thing.
I need to go and cosplay as Hank Pym.
Oh God.
Yeah, then we backhand him.
Exactly.
Or just returning to this Hank Pym thing, I feel like we should do an entire movie based around the story of how the slap was conceived.
Yeah,
I could see that.
You've heard of the snap, but have you heard of the slap?
I could see that.
I just want an issue where Deadpool is like, "Hey, I can fuck around with comic books and we can go back in time, Hank, and kill Jim Shooter. You want to kill the guy that fucked up your relationship? We can do that."
So, the way that it was explained to me was that Jim wanted to do. He kept saying villains were reforming in Marvel Comics. Like the Avengers and the X-Men had a history of reforming villains, right?
Yeah.
But how often do these heroes fall from grace? Not very often. Isn't that kind of like a true struggle? And it's just like, that's a good idea. The first person he looked at was Hank Pym because he was just like, this character is always in flux. What if we made him into a villain? What if we made Yellow Jacket a bad guy?
Yeah.
The idea didn't take on as well as Shooter thought. And fans were very upset. Some fans still haven't forgiven Hank Pym, but it's kind of Shooter's fault.
I mean, with Hank Pym, I think we also need to realize that even from the beginning of his relationship with Jan, it was rocky. I think part of that was just 60s character writing, but Hank and Jan's relationship has always been rocky. Like, they've never really had a good moment with each other. Like, there are good moments with the character. The problem is, Hank has just always been a dick to Janet. It's always been a problem. and I think that's where Shooter came from. Is that he's going? It makes sense to see the guy go from, it makes sense to see him go that way because he's already an asshole. And I don't think that was a good idea. The way that I heard things happen was as a mixture of what you said and an artist dispute, where the artist misinterpreted the artist was like, I was told to do action. It was supposed to be a subtle, hey, get away from me kind of push. And the artist interpreted that as, no, he basically bitch slaps Janet. Like, it is not a push. That is a slap. Like, and the artist was like, I was here to do action, not deep emotional writing and depictions of this stuff. Like, and that's how I've seen it, as a mixture of those two, and it's so dumb. Like, it makes sense what they wanted to do. It's just, it was done so poorly, it's hard to believe that anyone okayed it. Like, we get it. Hank has been a bad person, and he's done bad things, but for him to just completely lose his fucking shit and then say, oh, he's got... Yeah,
how did the Mr. Jim Shooter, we have no room for error, Shooter, let that slide?
Yeah, and then they blame it on, like, borderline personality disorder or whatever, which isn't how that even works.
Shooter blamed it on the artist, and the artist was just like, I misinterpreted it, but then that's kind of hard to believe because Shooter let it slide.
Yeah.
So it's just like, you're the editor-in-chief at the time. How are you letting shit like this go beneath your notice?
Exactly.
It's a little weird. Well, he said it was like, it's too late. He said it was too late to change anything. And it's just like, you are Captain Deadlines, right?
Yeah.
No, I feel like he did that on purpose.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Because you wanted to then explore it later on. That's you're weird.
What are you saying, Xavier?
I have a theory. Shooter completely rewrote the script in record time.
Yep.
He could have done that.
He completely rewrote the script to actually match up with the slap.
Yeah, he could have done that. That's also possible. And, I mean, the fact that he then just kills a lot of the female characters, not actually kills them, but just fucks up their character, is also kind of, it's insulting. Like, instead of getting
the way that he writes
it took them a while to come back from it. Like, in the 80s, Janet was definitely coming back from that. And we see, I think her most, my favorite moment from Janet back from, the 60s until the 80s is definitely Under Siege. Because you actually get to see that where she has agency for once, and she's not a fucking bimbly bib-bob bitch,
Yeah, she gets to be front stage because Roger Stern knows how to write characters.
Exactly.
Where the difference is apparently Shooter was doing this even during David Michelinie's era of Avengers. I know it's really weird whenever I talk about it. David Michelinie worked on Avengers, like the Spider-Man guy.
Yeah.
The Spider-Man and Iron Man. But he did. He was the guy who introduced Henry Peter Gyrick.
Yep.
He was the guy who did weird I think Jim Shooter introduced Gyrick, but the idea was that the Avengers had to suffer government constraints.
Yeah.
Right. So the government constraints that were going on was just like, okay, you guys want your security clearance back? You guys want to be, sanctioned superheroes again? You guys have to play by my rules, and I'm going to decide your team right now. Falcon, you're on the team because of affirmative action.
Yeah.
The rest of you can go. Thor, you cannot stay. Yellow Jacket, you cannot stay. It was I think it was Captain America, Iron Man, Scarlet Witch, Beast, Falcon, Scarlet Witch, Cap, Iron Man, Scarlet Witch, Wasp, Beast, and they had two other members. I can't remember the other two.
Yeah,
Falcon, and then they had one more. But they it was interesting and not interesting at the same time. It was just wow. I mean, I can look it up right now.
Yeah.
They had. Yeah.
Yeah, you go. Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. Because they just got out of this whole thing with the. Yeah, it was Captain America, Wonder Man, Falcon, Miss Marvel back then, Captain Marvel now.
Yeah.
Right. And that was like the idea. The Avengers were like, oh no, we're under government constraint. Like we can't really work as a team because we have to like suffer. We have to work with this guy who just doesn't like us at all. Where it's just like, that's an interesting idea. They had to deal with like government oversight. Shooter fucking does away with it in the next like 15 issues.
Yeah. Oh god. Oh. So I think we're gonna move on here to our comics, and then we can talk about some miscellaneous stuff.
Yeah.
Who wants to go first?
I do.
Okay.
Recently, I've been reading Fantastic Four by Ryan North. Solid artwork, solid story, solid characters. I really want to talk about this book just because it's just like, we're in a day and age now where people care more about the casting of these characters than the characters themselves. Right? And I really, really like these characters. I think that what Ryan North does, he goes above and beyond. He even talks about Reed's like, insistence of doing the right thing, but at the cost of like he's very weird. Like his moral compass is weird. He's just like, this is the way to do it. This, it's successful, but it's going to cost us a little bit. And it's just like, that's something I really do like at a Reed Richards, where it's a fine line between like, okay, your intelligence makes you who you are. You're a good person, but it's just like, but you do bad things every once in a while. What the hell are you on? What the hell are you on? Right. In this book, what happens is that Reed sent the Baxter building, which, by the way, the address is 1234 Baxter Building or whatever.
God damn it.
That's their address.
That's some corny shit. I love it.
1234 Baxter Building or whatever, and it's just like, he teleports that area of New York away for a year, but everybody's kids and everybody's family was located in that area of New York, and now everybody has to wait a year before they get back.
Oh my god.
Right. And that was just to stop some sort of alien invasion that was going on.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So the Fantastic Four get to grow old and do like all this like crazy shit. They go on these crazy adventures, and some of these stories are very heartwarming. Like Ben and Alicia, excuse me. Ben and Alicia have to teach some guy, like, because he has like reality manipulating powers, but like his girlfriend just broke up with him. So then he keeps saying, like,
I love that issue.
Yeah, he keeps going back in time. He pretty much leaves this little town in 1946.
Oh wow!
Right, just leaves it there, and Ben and Alicia have to teach him the importance of moving on. Right, and how like, just because you weren't meant for her doesn't mean you're not meant for nobody. Really solid Fantastic Four story. Really solid. I like stories like that. Like, we get to see the four of them individually, kind of, not individually. We got to see Ben, Johnny, Ben, Alicia, Johnny, Reed, and Sue, kind of like go on solo adventures by themselves, and they come back at the end. But I think that's really interesting that we got to see this Fantastic Four story. A lot of Fantastic Four stories aren't for everybody. Again, that's why I keep saying, like, if you want a Fantastic Four story, you really, 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 really need to look at stuff like Mark Waid's Fantastic Four, Hickman's Fantastic Four. I'd even recommend Slott's Fantastic Four. Those are the four that you need to be. Those are like the four Fantastic Four stories you need to check out. But this one, solid.
Man, can I interrupt you for
it's
one
okay.
more recommendation for Fantastic Four? Marvel Knights 4 by Roberto Aguirre Sacasa.
That's also another good one. Yeah, that one.
Feels.
That one is the most Fantastic Four the Fantastic Four have been.
I think the most grounded. It's the better word. Like I feel like this is a precursor to the Ryan North run.
Yeah.
Well, I feel North's run is a lot more polished. I also feel like Marvel Knights 4 adds its charm. And yeah, it's a very good book, you know.
Well, at least the first arc, because the later you move on in the story, it's not as fun. Like after you get past the part where they're broke, I would say stop reading there.
Yeah, the first 50 issues, it's where it's at.
Yeah, don't go anywhere past that. The other book I've been reading Untold Tales of Spider-Man.
Ooh, another really good.
What a good book. This book is everything that I like about Spider-Man. It's hey, if Peter Parker wins, Spider-Man loses in some way.
Yeah.
If Spider-Man wins, Peter Parker loses in some way. Right?
Yeah.
The issues that the issues that I was reading, it was stuff like Peter's classmates had found out that he takes pictures for like the Bugle of Spider-Man, and his class really wants to get to know him. They're like, Peter, look, do you take pictures? Like Flash Thompson's like, hey, look, I'm head of his fan club, and I want to be your friend. I want to be your friend so I can meet Spider-Man, but I didn't know that you were risking your life to do this type of stuff, Peter. It's interesting. Do you think we can help you? And then Peter's just like, to throw off suspicion, it's just like, I'm gonna have to let them help me. Right? But they want to be the first on the scene of crimes, which is something that Spider-Man has to do. But they want to take Peter to these crimes with them. Oh, shit, now he can't do what he needs to do. Right? What a solid way to talk about stuff like that. So Peter Parker started gaining accolades from his classmates, but it wasn't enough. Right?
Yeah.
Then we see stuff like the Headsman, which was like Norman Osborn's former identity. Commanda, which is like Peter Parker's first like femme fatale, that was like super into him. Electro and the Eel work together.
Of course.
We also see Betty Brant. Bluebird, one of Peter's classmates dies, and Peter actually feels it because he kept trying to tell her, hey, a superhero's life is not the life for you. You're going to end up hurting yourself or someone else. Right?
Shit,
Don't do this.
Deep. Holy shit.
And then she dies. She quits the whole superhero gig because, like, you know, a thug winded her. And Peter was like, see, I told you. And she dies in a car crash because she's trying to become a photographer like Peter. All she wanted to do was be like Peter.
Yeah.
Which is a really good way onto how Busiek handles like this character that was brought up in Amazing Fantasy 15 and never seen again.
Yeah. That is...
Because Sally Averill is one of those characters that was like, no, I don't want to date you, Peter. I want to date Flash.
I mean, granted, who in high school actually wanted to date the photographer kids? I'm just saying. Those nerds never got anything in high school.
I really love this book for everything that it is. This is peak Spider-Man. This is what Spider-Man is. This is why Spider-Man is so special, because of shit like that. He even beats himself up, like he fights the Black Knight, because this story, Busiek knows his continuity. And in that same story, the Black Knight is trying to impress Baron Zemo to join the Masters of Evil. Right? So he kidnaps a foreign diplomat's daughter. Not a foreign diplomat. He kidnaps a princess. Spider-Man saves the princess, beats up all of his thugs, and then just beats the shit out of the Black Knight.
Oh god, like the Black Knight, the Avengers Black Knight?
Yeah, like the old Black Knight, like the first one.
Oh my god, that is
Okay,
amazing.
that's really insane, and I'd have to say, Spider-Man should be the main character of a Disney princess movie.
Yeah, so he like, oh no, he bring like the dialogue is just like, it's pretty. He brings up Rapunzel. he's talking about it the entire time as he's climbing up the wall. He beats the shit out
Wait,
of.
Spider-Man predicted Tangled?
Yeah, he beats the tar out of Nathan Garrett, Black Knight, and the Human Torch comes and saves him, but Zemo escapes with the Black Knight.
Is Zemo here?
No, he's only brought up. He's brought up by name, and he has a speaking line, but it's like through a computer. Like you don't get to see him. Like Garrett refers to him as Baron.
Yeah.
Right. And
that is really cool.
Peter just explained, he like lets the guilt roll off of him. He's just like, well, I got Sally Averill to stop, but she put herself in danger again and got herself killed, but that was because of me. What if she was Bluebird? What if I could have helped her? What if I could have trained her? What if I could have done X, Y, and Z? And then the Human Torch is just like, yeah, but what you're not thinking of is like the fact that what if those things happen? What if she would have died as Bluebird? What if she would have died in that costume instead of like on the street? Well, what if that would have happened any other way? This book gets into some serious dark territory, but in a really fun way, which reminds me of another book I just read, Avengers Classic.
Which one is that?
That's the one with the side stories.
That's like the one where okay, I think I know what you're talking about. Is that like the one where like Janet ends up helping these people strand on the side of the road, and then like some like fucking carjackers show up?
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay.
So, if I may talk, is Avengers Classic like X-Men Classic?
Kinda, sorta. It's the same idea.
Oh.
Right. In this one though, with the three that I read, it's like how Stan Lee kind of formed the Avengers.
Yeah.
The Avengers are like, oh, it was Kirby that formed us into a team. It was Kirby's drawings that made us like look the way we do, not you. And then he's like, wait. Hey, you guys can become a team. What if I write your stories? And the Hulk's like, I knew there was going to be a catch.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I've read a couple of them. They're really good.
This story is so much fun. I love the one where it's just like the Wasp is the secret chairman of the Avengers.
Yeah.
So that way they don't feel embarrassed.
I remember that because they kept fighting over who was going to be the chairperson. And then Janet is just sitting there and she's like, what about me? And then they're just kind of like, well...
As long as we don't tell anybody.
Yeah, exactly. They're just kind of like, yeah, as long as we don't tell anyone. That reminds me of the Lady Liberators.
The one that I just read was the Hulk helped give birth to this woman. Right, like this woman was giving birth, and then he helped her with the baby and brought her to the hospital.
Oh wow!
Right, but they're asking Bruce Banner, who was found lying somewhere, why he was covered in blood and shit like that, and then they took him to the prison and was like, okay, well, these two detectives are like, hey, you could have killed somebody. Who'd you kill? And then Bruce didn't kill anybody, but he lies about his name. There's a funny little thing that happened. Calls himself Bob because in Avengers issue Avengers issue 3, Bruce Banner calls himself Bob Banner.
Bob Banner.
So they do like this, funny.
Didn't also the 80s Hulk show called Bruce another name because Bruce Banner sounded too gay?
No, that was the 80s one. That was David Banner.
Oh. David Banner is a shit name.
Yeah. Bruce is just like Bruce Banner is, these cops are interrogating him, but he learns that the Hulk isn't all bad. But then he's just like, hey, look, if the Hulk ever did want to kill somebody, not even the Avengers can stand up to him. That's how bad it is. Like if the Hulk is scary, but today he may have just he showed kindness when he didn't have to. Right, giving off the idea that Bruce Banner is the monster, the Hulk is the hero.
Yeah.
Great foreshadowing for World War Hulk, I'd say.
It's great. This is those are the books that I've been reading. Also, World's Finest. I want to talk about this last one real quick.
Absolutely.
What an incredible book. World's Finest. Batman Superman World's Finest. The beginning of the one that I just read has Batgirl and Supergirl in it, right? And they're like, oh yeah, Mr. Mixius Picklick and Bat might disguise themselves as us, and you guys didn't catch on, and it's just like they are interdimensional imps, but whatever. and then Batman's the one who caught on to it and advised Jimmy to take a picture, and both Supergirl and Batgirl are like, yeah, it's weird. Throughout the book, though, what you get is someone murdered Simon Stagg.
Yeah.
Simon Stagg is kind of like the Norman Osborn of the DC universe, where he's big, but he's not as big as like Bruce Wayne and shit like that.
Did he invade Themyscira?
Huh?
Did the guy invade Themyscira?
No.
Oh, okay.
Simon Stagg is interesting in the way that he's responsible for the creation of another superhero called Metamorpho.
Okay.
Right. Metamorpho, and it's believed that Metamorpho killed Simon Stagg, but by the end of the book, it's believed that Bruce Wayne did it.
Huh.
Wow.
Man,
right.
I should really get caught up on World's Finest.
World's Finest is some of the best DC stuff that I've been reading. Just the best artwork from anything DC has got going on with them right now. The best story, like these characters feel like as they should as superheroes. They got problems, like Bruce and Dick are kind of like working through things. Dick has to like tell Bruce like murder's bad all the way around. Not even if it's a rich person, you still should show compassion. But like, isn't Simon Stagg a piece of shit? And then Bruce is like, "Yup." It's Jimmy Olsen who believes that Bruce Wayne killed Simon Stagg too. Like Jimmy Olsen becomes a reporter in this issue out of nowhere.
Oh my god.
He's Jimmy Olsen.
Right.
He can do that. Jimmy Olsen gets hot alien women,
And it was at Clark, and I was at Clark's behest too. Clark was like, "You know what, Jimmy, you take this one up." And then next thing you know, Jimmy's like pointing the finger at his best friend.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. Like he did it, and then that's how the book ends. It's just like, what? Clark is just like, what are you talking about? He didn't do anything. And then they're like, well, do you know for certain, Clark? And then he's just like, never mind. And then Perry's like, that's what I thought. Okay, Bruce Wayne killed Simon Stagg. And then you get a picture of Renee Montoya and Harvey Bullock from Batman the Animated Series.
Oh my god. Oh, that is so cool. Oh my god.
This book is the strongest DC book on the shelves right now. This one is my favorite.
I don't want to say I disagree on this, but I personally feel like Action Comics is the strongest one right now.
Oh, perfect lead-in. Well, you go ahead.
Yeah, Action Comics is so good. You know when MCU Man was talking about how the characters feel feel like how there should be written, and how they have human struggles, mixed in a believable way with their superheroics. That's Action Comics. All of the stories, the therapy issues with Power Girl, the super family stuff in the main story. Lois and Clark is a really interesting and fun series involving Amethyst, Princess of Gemworld. And man, the new Steel series is so good! My god, Action Comics is just delivering hit story after hit story, and it's so good. Like, I don't wanna say that, like, it's the only great Superman title, because I've been really enjoying Joshua Williamson's Superman, but man, Action Comics is on another level. It's one of my favorite comics coming out currently. You know.
I feel that, yeah. And
yeah, I am so happy.
But what else do you got?
Finished yesterday the first 5 issues of The Pulse by Bendis and Bagley. It's a series about the Daily...
Yeah, isn't that the Daily Bugle's like? Isn't that the Daily Bugle's like TMZ sort of thing?
Yeah,
like it's their tabloid side.
Yeah, it's the Daily Bugle doing investigations, and it gave a.
Thanks for the follow, J Talon.
One of my favorite
Thank you a lot, man.
Stories. Just saying, he has a huge role in it. And it's really good. Just check it out because it's great. Only thing is that Luke Cage is here and has a major role in the story, but I feel like that role is just rather minimal. It doesn't showcase the character very well. He's just arguing with Jessica Jones about the baby, which is gonna be Danielle Cage, but whatever.
Baby.
Yeah, the baby.
The baby.
Yeah. Now I'm imagining Daniel Cage saying, "Let's go!"
Let's go.
Oh boy.
Bravo! Uncanny! Let's go!
Holy shit. Oh god. So
yeah.
So how is it, like, the book itself? Great.
It's very investigative, it's very introspective. It doesn't feel like a Marvel book at all. And it reminded me of Spider-Man being written well, because, yeah, Spider-Man appears for a bit in the book, and mwah, it's perfect. My only downside is that Jameson, Norman, and Peter all look like the Ultimate Universe versions, and you forget that it's 616. Seriously, it's weird.
Oh wow.
Any questions?
So what is the exact kind of like a plot synopsis, or like the idea of what they're doing in the story? You know, what's going on?
So, I'm gonna summarize the first arc, at least the synopsis. A reporter of the Daily Bugle is caught. So they find a dead woman in a river in Manhattan. It's a Daily Bugle reporter, and the entire story, it's kind of them resolving who was the murderer, and them bringing that man to justice. It's really cool, you know. And there's also a side plot of Jessica Jones discovering she's pregnant, and her and Luke Cage coming to terms with that.
That is interesting. Yeah, them coming to terms with their like pregnancy. That is really cool.
Also, Ben Urich is a huge character in the book.
Huh.
Yeah, it's really nice if you want to break from the more usual Marvel comic books.
Yeah,
it's really cool. It's really interesting.
And you've also read Guardians, right?
I've read Guardians.
All three of us have read Guardians?
Yeah, all three of us have read Guardians.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and talk about Guardians, since all three of us have read it.
Okay, so not Xavier. Vlad, you start.
I took some pretty in-depth notes, so I actually have the whole plot summary written out. First thing, I have a question.
Thanks.
What the hell is Grootfall? Because that I don't know anything about that.
I think we're supposed to learn more about it throughout the...
Okay, because I was like, what the fuck is that? So anyways, the synopsis that I have here is, the Guardians of the Galaxy are on a planet, I can't remember the name of it, but they're saving a race called the Quirplexians from Grootfall. Peters is the one that shows up first. He confronts a sheriff that's stubborn. He doesn't want them to come into town, and that's a theme with these aliens, is they're very stubborn. As far as I know, it's because of something that happened with Galactus, just genociding them and their home planet. So they don't really have any, like, they don't have trust for people. But they try and get everyone out of the planet because of this Grootfall event. That's what happened. Shit kind of goes a little fucky-wucky, and they are able to get off the planet, but I think only saved half of them. There's some other shit that happens in between here, but that's really basically it. There's not a lot to it, if you ask me. It's a pretty simple story, but it's really good. It's interesting to say the least, seeing this, where it's like, they're like, yeah, we're trying to save these people, but there's like a bunch of mobsters or gangsters that are like, no, you can't do anything because this is how we make money, you know? These people, everything they do, this is our livelihood too, and it's like, yeah, but everyone on this planet is going to die, and they're like, I don't give a fuck. So,
I really like that too.
But,
You know,
yeah, what's up, Xavier?
just wanted to say that I'm disappointed that Marco Cacchetto isn't doing the covers, isn't doing the interiors, but the art is pretty good, you know.
Oh yeah,
I
the
really
covers
like
are
it.
fucking incredible. The covers are incredible. I
Yeah.
think the one, you know what? I love the alien race, and I love what they say about the Guardians, where it's just like, it asks, what happened to the Guardians of the Galaxy? And it's just like, Grootfall happened.
Yeah. Exactly. It's an interesting idea. It's kind of interesting seeing, like, I don't complain about MCU synergy like some people do. This is very much basically the MCU lineup. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Some
of those lineups in the MCU are great too.
Yeah, it's a very good lineup if you ask me. Fucking Saloon Girl Mantis is way too hot than she should be. That was
Mantis
actually
is just.
I like how this town of people that don't let others in is like, oh shit, you are gonna be our bar girl, okay? And then they just let her on in. Like, I like how the other Guardians have a hard time getting into the town, and Mantis is just implied that she just got in by being Mantis, and I love that. That is very on point for Mantis.
Vlad, you don't know something about Mantis. She has an ancient ability. An ability only known to men like Reed Richards and Scott Summers. The autistic Riz.
Exactly.
You know?
That has to be it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Some other notes that I took on this. The fact that I kind of didn't like how it feels like the action was kind of stringed along. It just felt like they're kind of moving to point to point. That's just how I felt about it. It just feels like, you know, oh, we make it into town. There's going to be opposition. There's going to be some war. Oh, the people are stubborn. It just feels like it goes from, you know, point to point to point instead of it's flowing. That's just how it felt to me.
Yeah.
But it still was good action. There's nothing wrong with the action. It just felt like everything just happened. It was just checking off like a box. And I didn't like the ending of it because it felt very vague to me. I wasn't too sure what I was supposed to take away from the ending. It's like, so are all these aliens alive? Are they dead? Are we going to find out later? Like, what? But maybe that's what they're going for, and then, you know, the rest of the series will answer these questions. I actually like Drax, how they show Drax off, where it's like, we got this very large thing and we can't deal with it, and then Nebula's like, yeah, we can. And then she starts counting down, and then Drax just fucks up this giant, like, Warwalker robot thing. Like, that's a good way to show Drax is a fucking badass, but... outside of that, though, I don't really have much to say. It's a good, solid book. As I said, there's nothing really bad with it. There's nothing wrong. The writing's good. Even if it feels a little bit stringy. The characters are well written. It's very interesting to see how some of the characters handle this. They feel like they bounce off of each other well. They play with each other well, which is something that I'd like to see in writing. All in all, it's a good book. Honestly, I look forward to the rest of the series as well. So what are y'all's takes on it?
My take on Guardians is that this was a very, very fun book. This was what I was looking for from a Guardians book, and I feel like the cover didn't lie to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I wasn't judging the book by its cover, but I was really expecting something like this, like, space western sort of thing within the first issue, and it's just like, holy shit, this is cool.
Yeah.
And when we get like all of them coming together and just being like, yeah, this shit the rules have changed. One of ours breaking planets again.
Yep.
Is interesting conflict. I can't wait to dig into it some more. I really love the dialogue, and I love how like the roster on this one and the designs on this one are just really great. Good stuff.
Yes, the designs are absolutely amazing. I like how Nebula just looks like Nebula.
Yeah.
It's just she's like, I'm not cosplaying. I like that. That's pretty funny. And fucking Drax is looking like Loki for some fucking reason. Oh, I can't be the one that's seeing that with the fucking horns.
Yeah.
He's like looking like he's a fucking Loki cosplayer. But
You don't get it, Vlad.
What?
You don't get that Drax wants to date Taylor Swift, so he dresses up like Tom Hiddleston.
I see. Fuck, that is so stupid. Oh god, what are your opinions and feelings on this, Xavier?
Really like this book. Really fun. Only problem is that they fuck up the Ewing status quo. Like, before this run of Guardians of the Galaxy, there was the Light, there was the God, there was Al Ewing.
Yeah.
Al Ewing did an incredible run of Guardians of the Galaxy that has an incredible sequel in X-Men Red. And kind of also crossed over into Sword, Empire, and all of the other stuff. Planning to do a reread of that eventually. Just needing like the full volume. But whatever. It's not the point. The point is, Guardians of the Galaxy is beautiful. Guardians of the Galaxy by Al Ewing is a beautiful story about a family, about a group of people becoming a family. And the last issue of the book was so great. It was like the team finally coming together. And my god, it was heartwarming. The team becoming finally a galactic police force. Then Guardians of the Galaxy by Kelly and Lansing just throws everything in the garbage and says, yeah, whatever, let's do Space Western, yippee!
Yeah.
And to
I'm
be
okay
honest,
with
what?
that. I'm okay with it though.
Yeah, I'm kind of okay with it, but I do see where Xavier's coming from.
Yeah, where it's just like that piece of continuity is now like, you feel like you just got slapped in the face, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I really liked the book, but also, I feel like they could have just built what Ewing and Cabal were doing.
Yeah, they really could have. That is a very good point. But
Like, I don't feel like it's as bad as what Wells is doing on Spider-Man. Like, completely throwing out everything that Nick Spencer did.
right.
But, yeah.
And
It got kind of the same energy.
they may explain it too. They probably will try and explain it. I think that's what the whole thing where it's like, what happened to you guys? That might be a reference to that. Who knows? They could explain it,
Yeah.
you know. Good writing from Marvel? Am I implying Marvel's actually good at writing? Yes, I am.
Marvel's not good at writing. The creators hired by Marvel are good at writing.
You know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So...
A Marvel writer is good at writing. Oh my god!
Oh, boy. So, let's see. Anyone else have anything before I get on to what I've read?
No, I have nothing. So sad.
So, I have read Alien, both of them.
Let's go.
And it is so... Oh my god, it is so good.
Is it I want to read this one so bad.
It is so good. Like, the first one...
If I may ask something,
yeah.
is it good for like someone who hasn't seen the movies?
Yeah, you don't have to know a lot about the Alien franchise to read it. They actually give you a synopsis in the book. In both books, they give you a synopsis so you can at least get an idea of what you're seeing, so you know who's who. It doesn't tie into the movies, as far as I can tell, and I've seen all the movies. I'm kind of a big Alien fan, so I was excited to read this, and oh my god, is it so good. So I guess since I'm so good at notes here, I have two summaries, so I've read both the books. The synopsis here, and I'm not going to get into too many spoilers, but there's a family called the Zahn family who is collecting water samples on this ice moon. They're part of this company called Talbot, and if I remember correctly, Talbot is actually bought out by Weyland-Yutani, which is the main company, the main bad guys in Aliens. Yeah, the main one in the movies, like from the first one, they're like the big, mega corporation that does all sorts of fucky wucky shit. But anyways, this whole thing is kind of interesting because it's like they've been stuck on this moon for a long time, like long enough that they have like the main person that's in charge, what's her name again, Batcha. Her and Dayton have like a kid, like they're she's pregnant, so she can't work on anything. Dayton lost his arm a couple months ago, so it's down to their fucking teenage daughter to do everything for them, which is really funny. And their daughter's in this borehole digging out eye samples when they find a facehugger, and Batcha basically contacts, she thinks she's contacting Talbot, but it's actually Weyland, and they fucking show up and are like, yo bitch, we heard you got a facehugger, and that's kind of how shit gets started. The first book is completely devoid of Alien. Like, it's just three people on this buttfuck moon trying to survive, and then Weyland shows up. The father gets into a scuffle with this guy named Wendell, and their daughter Zasha, she ends up running off and fetches that facehugger sample. It's really interesting. It's actually really fun. There's a pretty good moment where some of the Weyland soldiers are there, and you kind of get some funny dialogue from a couple of them. Like, one of the guys is, like, saying, he's, like, talking to another soldier, and he's like, yeah, lunch is in, like, an hour anyways, and I don't want to miss lamb chops, and this other soldier's like, bro, you only signed up for the food, which, a writer like me just sees this as being, like, really good, cheap world building, but I kind of like it. Because it just clearly shows who's signing up for Weyland's stuff. You got this skeleton crew barely functioning, coming out of this backwater planet, hoping that Weyland notices them, and it's like the people that make up the crew are just a bunch of like people that are just there for the money. They don't give a shit about what they're actually doing, and I like that. It's pretty status quo to an Alien book, or an Alien anything. Weyland's the bad guy, someone discovers an alien, It's pretty formulaic, but I'm okay with that formula because it works. It's ingrained into Aliens as a franchise. The other thing, too, is this could have ended up like the second movie, if you're familiar with it, where they're on, like, a frozen planet, and, they discover a bunch of aliens, and I'm going to get to that, but it's not like the second movie, and I like how they make sure that they differentiate it, because I think that would have been a problem if there's similarities to the second one, but the only similarity is there's a fuck ton of aliens. which is where the second book starts off. And that facehugger isn't the only thing there. Apparently there's like an alien nest of like fucking xenomorphs. Like an entire nest, a colony of them frozen in the ice. And Weyland-Yutani accidentally uncovers it while they're fucking around in the ice. And one of the xenomorphs wakes up, chases after them. The facehugger Zasha has starts causing problems. Like, I'm not going to get to too many spoilers because by the second one, things are actually getting to the point where there's like a lot of action, but a lot of stuff is being set up. What I will say is, I think like one of the fastest fucking chest bursters I've ever seen in like Aliens. Like it's at least a couple hours, like at least 6 hours before Chestburster appears, and this guy gets attacked by a facehugger, and it's implied it's only a couple of hours, and a Chestburster pops out. So I'm not okay with that, but yeah. I'm also not the biggest into Aliens, so
you know, there's a thing in Species.
Yeah.
It's called living beings who are born early.
Yeah.
That happens.
Yeah, but this is like implied to be like a fully functioning, like, you know, this is like way too early. Like 2 hours in, and this guy should be like not even noticing he has a chest burster. So it's kind of a problem to me, but I can look over it. I can excuse it because they're just trying to set up everything. Yeah, it's really interesting, though. I'm not going to say too much else. I will kind of go through some of my other notes here. Let's see. Yeah, so one of the thing is the fact that you can clearly tell who the main character is. It's going to be Zasha, this fucking teenager that's running around. But my other thing is, the first book was slow. You know, it was setting things up. The second book kind of hops into stuff, and I kind of wish they did one more book before it got crazy. Like, I really think we should have had... The first book is slow, it sets up who our characters are. Second book introduces Weyland, and they show up on the planet, then they awaken the aliens, and then the third book is when shit hits the fan. But this is going to be part of 6, so I can kind of see where they're doing this. But it's really, like, I kind of understand it, even though which is different. The action is fucking bloody. Like, this does not hold back at all. And I like that. I really like that. Again, they definitely set this up different from the second movie, but there are similarities. Again, we're on an ice planet. We have a bunch of xenomorphs, and we have some Weyland-Yutani soldiers. These soldiers look a lot different, though, than what they do in the movies, which is pretty good. And clearly it looks like they're only here because they're trying to they're trying to get something out of Weyland. So, again, this makes sense. It's not like the second movie where they know about the colony and they know that, there's xenomorphs here and there's a xenomorph queen. This time, they have no clue about that. I like that. So it sets itself apart from the second movie. Again, Wendell is actually really interesting for a Weyland character because he's kind of like, the good cop, bad cop kind of thing. He's like the good cop kind of thing where he's like, I'm gonna fuck you up, but I don't want to do that. He's like really polite in this unnerving way that is really fun to see. Where he's like, look, we know what's going on here, but we also don't know. Can you please give us answers? Like, we bought out your company, and we're sorry that no one has come out here to save your asses. Forgive us, and hey, maybe we'll, be nice to you. Oh, I like it. That's really all I have to say. I mean, it's just so much fun. It's really fun. I love it. And if you like Aliens, you're gonna love it. Like, it's so good. And the art. Oh my god, the art is amazing. And it's just such a good book. Like, you should definitely check it out if you have the time.
I'm definitely gonna check out Aliens. I'm gonna read Aliens. gonna check out Predator as well because I like Predator and Planet of the Apes because I really want this 20th century comics experiment to last.
I know. I would definitely kill for more Alien books.
Yeah, like I like sometimes where they get from under the superhero stuff. They're like, "Yep, here we go. This is exactly what we wanted to give you," and it's just like, "Let's go."
Yeah. And the only other thing, and I haven't finished reading it because I need to read it, and I just keep forgetting to. It's Deviate from 1999. I've read the first issue, and I'm about halfway through the second, and it's a 3-arc thing. I'm probably gonna finish it next week. It's a weird indie comic. I have no idea anything about it. This is like the first time I'm reading it, and it's super fucking interesting, but it's kind of weird. It's also very indie horny, if that makes sense, where they are like, what sells? Women with big titties. And so
it's basically early Image.
Yeah, I think it is early Image. I think this is Image Comics. No, this is Wildstorm. So,
which was Image at the time.
So this is early Image. Okay, you fucking nailed it. Oh my god. Because like there's like a scene with this chick in this like fucking crop top button up with her nipples showing through her white shirt, and then her daughter in a fucking bra in the background showing cleavage. It's like, none of this was necessary. We did not need to see all this skin. So, outside of that though, it's got some pretty good writing, even if it can be horny at times. But I'm looking forward to finishing it. I think that's everything I have. We can move on to the release calendars, because it's been a while. Unless there's anything else anyone wants to touch on.
No, I'm good. Let me go pull up the release calendar for myself.
Well, there's also me like doing things I've read.
Oh yeah, what else have you read? Sorry about that. We thought you finished, but that's sorry about that.
No, it's okay. So, first off, I want to just take this thing off my chest. I finally finished Uncanny Avengers Volume 1.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah,
it's about time you did.
Yeah. Oh my god, it's a good book. It's a book that I feel like tries to be, this exploration of both sides of the Avengers and the X-Men in terms of like mutant and human relationships. Then kind of says something stupid about it, forgets it completely, and becomes kind of a sci-fi superhero book, and it becomes way better, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to say that it's a particularly a conservative comic book, but I feel like it takes kind of a simplified approach to concepts like discrimination and oppression.
Right.
But that I kind of feel like I wish it was expanded upon and actually, maybe the book, I would have appreciated if the book moved on from those concepts.
Yeah.
Back to the whole idea of well, what if Xavier's dream was possible?
Yeah.
That concept is really good in theory, and I like seeing the Avengers and the X-Men argue. But also, I don't think it was
morally, I think when reading that book, I just thought morally, the Avengers do have a leg to stand on. The Avengers have never had to compromise the way the X-Men have. Yeah. And that's to say something where it's just they are heroes, but the X-Men had to do that for survival. Right? There's a difference where it's just the Avengers do have they do have the moral high ground in that story.
Yeah.
Right. The X-Men don't, but they did it because desperate times called for desperate measures.
Yeah, and that's also something I wish was more explored in superhero comics. That like sometimes the
Yeah.
moral option isn't like the right option. Like
Yeah.
sometimes it's kind of okay if you just threw away quote unquote your morality to do the option that it's more practical to survive.
Yeah.
To be honest, that's an interesting concept, and I wish it was more explored in superhero comic books.
And I agree. I mean, like, I feel like that's Hickman's Avengers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hickman's
Like,
Avengers.
Hickman's Avengers is that. Hickman's Avengers does that all the way through.
Exactly.
With
Yeah,
Uncanny Avengers,
that's why Hickman is the best Avengers writer. You know,
I think that's Busick. But with
to each their own. Busick second best, in my opinion. Like,
but when it comes to Uncanny Avengers, we really get to see like these. We're just like, oh, Logan, you told me you were done with this garbage,
yeah.
right? It's just like when Rogue had to kill Grim Reaper. That was a very strong moment in that book.
yeah.
Right.
To be honest, my favorite part was a bit before Avenge the Earth, when it was like the early parts of the Apocalypse Twin storyline, when it was like every shit hitting the fan constantly. It was like, oh my
Yeah.
god, how this is gonna end? You know, you were
Exactly.
like always surprised of whatever happened. You know, it's so cool.
It just kept escalating.
Yeah. It just kept going. Oh, I do like, if we are talking about the same Uncanny Avengers, yeah, the first volume where it's like, they go back in time, whatever, and it's, that was fun, where this, like, was it Grim Reaper's like, yeah, Jan, you could have killed me last time, so, and she's like, yeah, I'm not going to. And then it's like, was it Wolverine shows up? Who the fuck was it? Yeah, it was Wolverine, right, that shows up, and then it's like, he's the one that does it, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Also, I loved Wolverine and Docket and Akihiro's interactions in this book. Like, father, I was your kid. You killed me. Why?
I think another aspect that is.
Asshole.
I think another aspect is just like the Avengers and the X-Men both have mistakes, and the Apocalypse Twins put that shit on Front Street.
Yeah.
They're not playing with them. They're like, no, this is, you guys have messed up, and you guys are going to have to apologize for it in some way, shape, or form. Which is why this book was so interesting. Which is why I thought like Steve and Logan just having like this sort of camaraderie and them learning like, hey, look, we're about this life, but there's some things that, you know, you're withholding, and that's bad. I can't believe we made you an Avenger. That's the problem here, right? Because you compromised us.
Yeah.
With your lax morality. You killed just so you could say you could save the world, but these people are back here saying that they're not dead. Thanks a lot.
Yep.
Right. And that's interesting. Even, and you know, you get to see like both factions of that side just be like, look, we have respect for everybody here, but come on. The means have to justify the ends at some point. And it's just like, yeah, at some point, but that wasn't the point. And it's just like, this guy's name's Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
yeah.
Just want to say, the stuff with the Apocalypse kids had me confused a bit. Like, because I didn't read Uncanny X-Force, which is the run where they originated from. Like, I've heard it's like a prequel to Uncanny Avengers. But
Yeah.
looking at some point, because I'm in a huge X-Men mood right now.
So, have you read anything else, or are we free to move on to release count?
I've read the first 10 issues of Magneto by Cullen Bunn, and oh my god. Woo! Best thing I've read all year. Like, or one of the best. Like, my god. It's amazing. It's immaculate. It's a masterpiece. it's a beautifully grounded series that explores Magneto's character. Like, he's basically on the run from S.H.I.E.L.D., and like you get to see Magneto's psychology in such an interesting way. It also it really explores his dynamic with the Red Skull in like the later parts of this arc, kind of in the parts that tie into Uncanny Avengers. And my god, I love Magneto and Red Skull interacting just because I feel like those are some of the best moments for the character of Eric.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, the fucking Holocaust survivor meets a literal Nazi is a fucking amazing idea.
Yeah. And to be honest, I really wish that like Magneto just killed Red Skull right then and there. I don't want to say like it was the morally right thing to do.
Right.
Although it kind of is. But I personally feel like it would have been so fitting for the character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Like, yeah, it's just an incredible book that I really think picks up the Claremontian characterization of Magneto as a tragic figure that really tries to do everything in its power to prevent a second Holocaust, which is why the scene on Genosha where Magneto is like, my god, not again. Not again. Seeing like the dead bodies of mutants and then we see the flashback to the Holocaust. Like seeing that hits like a truck. And this is the Magneto I want to see. Like, my god, this is such an incredible series that I can't wait to continue because it deserves it deserves to be way more loved than it is. It's already really loved, but like, man, it's so good.
Alright, so let me go ahead and pull up that release calendar.
Yeah. I won't say another book title because those are the ones that I did want to talk about. And well, oh yeah.
Do you have any final pieces here before we move on to the release calendar?
Cold War is continuing.
Yeah. We might as well go ahead and do what came out last week, and we'll do what's coming out this week. So last week you have MC Man, you there?
I'm still here.
Okay. So we have the issue that shall not be named or talked about, and we will not talk about it. Captain America: Symbol of Truth, number 13. Carnage.
Cold War.
Punisher.
Always amazing.
Deadpool number 7. Spider-Man 2099. Silver Surfer. I picked up Avengers Beyond, and of course this book came out. Aside that though, nothing I'm too interested in. I actually had no idea that they even had a book. So. Oh yeah, Doctor Strange number 3. I forgot there's a Doctor Strange book.
Yeah, like the thing is a genuinely popular character.
Yeah.
Like he had a couple of solo series. Like he even had one in 2021.
Yeah. So this was last week. So we can move on to this week.
This reminds me that Edge of Spider-Verse is useless.
It is.
Yeah.
Why they're doing so many of these? Like, I get it. It's a cool anthology series, but why not just call it Spider-Verse Anthology?
Yeah. So we have Star Wars X-Men number 23. With, for some reason there's... Oh yeah, there's an Iron Man symbol, isn't it?
Yeah, it's tying to Dugan's Iron Man. I'm really interested in reading it once I get caught up. Oh my god, Immortal X-Men. Oh, Sentinel of Liberty is ending, so I am really sad.
Yeah.
Sentinel of Liberty was amazing.
Yeah, which now puts us in the JMS Captain America era, which I'm like glad I was wrong about. You know, like they're not doing another Captain America book. It's going to be going to be JMS's Steve Rogers book, and I guess Sam Wilson's Symbol of Truth will continue.
Yeah.
Immortal X-Men looks...
Oh, what was that?
Spider-Man, just want to say that Immortal X-Men is one of the best books coming out right now, and y'all need to read it.
Yeah. I might check it out.
Yeah.
I'll have to get caught back up on it though. We got a Spider-Man book by Dan Slott, Fantastic Four by North, Invincible Iron Man, Bishop War College, Groot, another Deadpool book, Loki #1, and that's really it. Oh, X-Men Fall.
Well, X-Men Before the... Yeah, it's done by Steve Orlando, which, my record, I'm one of the few people in the universe who doesn't hate the last Marauders run. I just think it's okay. You could read better, you could read worse. You could get stabbed multiple times in the back. There are way worse ways to pass your time.
Right. Really? Nothing too interesting, though. At least to me, none of this stuff flips my fucking lid.
Immortal X-Men, the Dugan stuff, and Sentinel of Liberty looks pretty cool. And I really need to get caught up on Daredevil.
Yeah. But aside from that... I think that is everything for us here, though. Unless we have anything we want to say before we end.
Just saying that next week is gonna be another week.
Yep. I have some stuff on backlog. I'll probably talk about some older comics. I might finally be able to talk about... I'll probably reread Unstoppable Wasp. Just to fucking talk about that, because I fucking love it. And I need more people to read it.
Yeah.
I might revisit Ewing's Wasp.
Yeah, I might be able to talk about Batman the Black Mirror, because I've been reading this series and I wanted to wait until I finished it to talk about it.
Yeah.
That and maybe some X-Men comics or Heartstopper, since both are on my list.
Right.
I hear that, man.
Yeah.
And that, I think.
What are you gonna read next?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna check out. Well, I'm gonna read Fury. I want to read Fury.
Yeah, I gotta read Fury. I picked that up. I got Avengers
Fury. I've read Fury. Fury was very good.
I'm gonna read Fury because I don't think what's coming out next week is not very good.
No.
I don't care about anything next week. And then maybe I'm gonna try and read Green Lantern.
Oh, that's cool.
I thought you read Green Lantern.
No, I'm gonna try and read Green Lantern. I haven't read Green Lantern yet.
Yeah, like I'm surprised because you're like a huge Green Lantern fan.
I like Green Lantern more, yeah, in the DC universe at least, because I love the Marvel. Marvel's just where I like to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
I love Marvel comics, but I like DC comics. That makes any sense.
It does.
Yeah, I get it. To be honest, for me, Marvel feels like, ooh, I'm going to like reading a Marvel comic. To me, feels kind of nostalgic because I wasn't interested in DC until high school. I was more of a Marvel kid. So, like, for me, DC kind of feels more exotic and new, and Marvel feels a lot more nostalgic.
Marvel for me feels like it's just like the best of superhero stories. It's just like you get the best of them because there's there's these added elements in them where it's just like they ask you very like complex moral questions, but it's just like, what does that do to a person? What does that say about the choices that we make? You're not always going to make the right one. Not everybody is Superman.
Yeah, I've always kind of bounced between it, but when I started reading comics, back in December or October of last year, I sort of started off with Marvel, and I mean, I don't have a problem with DC. It's just I don't have time to hop between different things right now. So it's like I just prefer to stick to Marvel because I actually enjoy it. A lot of my favorite characters are here. So
Yeah.
that's just how I've always felt. When I was a kid, I liked DC stuff, but it never was DC Comics. It was like, DC movies, DC animated stuff, that kind of thing. But, things change, times change.
Times do change. And with that, I want to thank everybody who was joining us today.
Yep.
I want to thank Xavier and Vlad. I want to thank everybody who was watching. And I hope you guys have a good day. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back next week or the week after.
Yeah, it's one or the other. Depends on what happens.
One or the other. Yeah, we'll see.
It depends on life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll see.
See y'all in the next one.
Yeah.
See ya. Hope you have a wonderful day or night.